Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you may be tuning in. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. My name is April Carter, and I'm with my wonderful colleague, Andre Hill from Tennessee Nonprofit Network, and I am so excited about this conversation. Today, we're going to be speaking with one of our Nonprofit Storytelling Summit speakers, and he's going to share some insights into his session, what you can expect and why you should attend. So I am thrilled to be here speaking with the good doctor, Matthew Lee. He hates when I say that, but he is absolutely wonderful. And if you join his session, you'll see why he's known as the good Dr. Lee. But welcome, Dr. Matthew Lee. How are you?
I am very well. Thank you very much. And thank you all for this platform and having me. I am really excited about the summit. It's going to be an extraordinary opportunity to connect with some great leaders.
Fantastic. So we know you from other circles, but for those of you who may not know you, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, your background, and why are you excited to present at the Nonprofit Storytelling Summit?
Well, a little bit about me. I'm originally from the Memphis area, grew up in the Whitehaven area specifically. My parents come from very humble beginnings. They were part of large families that were sharecroppers in West Tennessee. And so they worked very hard to give their children significant opportunities. One of the first things that we did together as a family, we got together, they opened a laundromat and it served the community and dry cleaners and it served the community. And so we had a number of great customers that we were able to connect with that held us accountable. And so my siblings and I are first generation college students. And proudly, we say that we were all able to go to historically Black colleges and universities. And so we're humbled that we've had that privilege, but we also recognize it's a responsibility to give back. Our parents taught us that early, that you always go back to where you come from and you give it your all, give it your best, be a good model of representation for it. And so I had the privilege of attending Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. And so, there's an old saying that you can always tell a Morehouse man, but you can't tell him much. That's not necessarily true, but I am a very proud alumnus of Morehouse College. Also went to Luther Rice Seminary and studied leadership there. I was an executive pastor in Atlanta for about 12 years, 12 to 15 years, a youth, young adult pastor, also planted a church here in the Memphis area and started ABR firm with my siblings. We all recognized that we had tremendous skill set based in connecting to human capital and using those skill sets to be able to collaborate to develop leadership development, brand management, human resources consulting. I had a human resources consulting business in Atlanta for 17 years. And so back in the Memphis area now, staying very busy with ABR firm. And I, on the side, I say on the side, but I'm also a realtor and pastoring a church. So my life is busy.
That's
Um,
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
We probably have been in somewhere around the same circles. I grew up partially in Whitehaven, so I won't tell you what high school I went to. We'll talk about that after we get done because I don't
Okay.
want any judgment.
All right.
And I lived in Atlanta, so I may know some of the same people. So we'll definitely have to connect.
Yes. Yeah.
But all of the great things that you have going on, and all of your great siblings, and I know a couple of them too. We want to hear a little bit more about your session and really where all that came from, without giving us too much or giving too much away to our audience. Can you tell us a little bit about your session and what attendees can expect from this wonderful opportunity?
Yeah. So I like to engage in what I call a capacity model, and it gives individuals, organizations. I say at the center of every organization, you have to discover what the organs are. There's somebody who's the heart of the company or the organization. There's somebody who's the brains. There's somebody who serves as the respiratory function. They give life, they give breath to it. And so we have to find those people who are organs within the organization. I realize that within this network of nonprofit organizations that so many of us are passionate about what we do, but sometimes we don't necessarily always integrate our skill set with our tool set and our mindset. And so some of the tactic is with capacity to make that assessment of those things. We call them tags: talents, abilities, gifts, and skills. And we make that assessment initially to help people figure out their leadership DNA, what that looks like, how it will translate to those respective organizations. And then we do what we call the capacity test. We challenge a person on how much they can hold, how much they can handle, how much they can have, and how much they can help. And so I look forward to being able to engage as well as learn from so many thought leaders in this type of setting. I know it's going to be transformative.
I absolutely love the idea of thinking each person and within the organization as an organ,
Yeah,
because each function is quite important, but also you can't have one function well without the other. Even though the heart
absolutely.
is the center, if you take away the other organs, then the heart doesn't function. If you take away the heart, the lung doesn't function. And so I love that imagery of us all working together as organs, vitally important, but still vitally important together. And so when
Yes.
you're thinking about all of these organs and all of these organizations that you've worked with over the years, there's a story there, and each organization tells its own story. And when you
Mhm.
think about the transformative impact that storytelling has on organization, what comes to mind? How can storytelling transform how organizations engage with their stakeholders and with their community?
Yeah. I think at the core of it, we're all trying to capture what our narrative is. And we want to figure out who the main characters are, who the role players are, what the scenario is. And one of the stories that I love to tell, it's a model for business development and culture. I talk about horsepower. And horsepower essentially revolves around what type of horse do you need to be at the time. And some of what happens is we discover at some phases in our journey we are a workhorse. In other phases, we're a racehorse. And sometimes we're a show horse. It just depends on where you capture us in our journey. But the ethic of storytelling really does help people better understand what our missions are, what our goals are, what our objectives are, who our clientele may be, and how to best and most appropriately engage and serve them. So I'm always looking for stories within the organization that help us to capture the DNA of where an organization may be and what their trajectory potentially is.
Ooh-wee. I really hope there's an extra seat in that classroom so I can hear a little bit more about all these great things that you're going to be bringing out in your
I'm looking
session.
forward to it. Yeah.
Now, one thing that we want to know, and it's about the storytelling that we have at the conference, and it's from very different avenues and genres and topics. But as you draw more, do you draw more to listening to great stories, or do you want to know more about the natural storyteller? So which one really is, it could be both, but
Yeah.
what's your
So
percentage on that?
yeah, so I've had such great opportunities to listen to historical figures, um, and mentors of the past who have engaged me. I love listening, and in so many ways, listening is learning, but listening is also loving. And so we learn how to love better when we listen better. With the rift in society that exists, the polarization, sometimes how politics pull us apart, and other types of subject matters can pull us apart. I have discovered that listening to a person's narrative will give us so much insight. that we can find ways of bridging gaps and connecting to the human experience that brings us all to a common level. And so once we discover through storytelling that while our stories are diverse, they are often rooted through the same themes. People want identity, people want meaning, people want purpose. They find different narratives to bring that collective story together. And I think that in this summit, we'll hear some of that. We'll have some opportunity to help even construct what that looks like for organizations going forward. So I want to hear stories, but I also want to be able to contribute to it. So I've historically, I mean, I've listened to my grandfather. He would tell stories. My parents tell stories. I had the opportunity to serve as a congressional page at the age of 16 in Washington. And while I was there, I met a senator from the state of Pennsylvania by the name of Joe Biden, who was a great storyteller. And he would stop pages along the way, and he'd want to hear our stories, where we came from, who we were influenced by. And so you find out that really there can be a tapestry of storytelling that kind of weaves us together through the human experience and the human condition. And I look forward to hearing, partaking, contributing to that storytelling piece at the summit. It's going to be extraordinary. I know it is.
Wonderful. I can already tell that storytelling is naturally threaded through your system and through your family. I'm so excited. I got a little excited when you were talking about horses. I visited a nonprofit right here in Memphis, actually. Well, right
Okay.
outside of Memphis. Is what is it, equestrian or something like that, that
Hmm.
focuses on different types of horses and horse riding. But I say all that to say, she was talking about how nonprofits are like horses, and she brought up like the pony is like a small horse, but it's still mighty. Is it focuses on children and things like that. You know, it even though it's not the biggest horse in the shed, it still is connected to the community in a way that you know when the pony is there. It's requested by children, and it
Yeah.
was a wonderful experience. So I got a new appreciation for different types of horses, and they're not all the same. Just like not all nonprofits are the same. There
Right.
is so many different type of horses and how we use them. So thank you for that. But we
Yeah.
say all of that.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to giving some more insight about that.
So speaking of looking forward to, now you've encountered so many different storytellers within your family, within your community. You're very well read, you're educated, so you know stories and you know storytellers. But if you could just pick one storyteller, you can't pick Andrea because I already picked her. So you got to pick somebody else. If you could pick one storyteller, past or present, to have dinner with, who would it be and why?
Wow. That is a tremendous question. So I tend to think more along historical political lines. And I think, could I have two at the table, or does it have to be one? Does it just have to be one?
Well, you have to pick up the ticket for both, so you can.
Okay, okay. So I would love to have the opportunity to be at the table with Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. If we are to think at the intersection of American history and human history, how Frederick Douglass is at the forefront of being a abolitionist, and Abraham Lincoln is thinking about the future of the country and how to keep it together. And so, one of my favorite books, A Team of Rivals by Doris Kearns Goodwin, who is a presidential historian. Her book inspired the movie Lincoln. And I love that movie because all of the different narratives that are happening in parallel that end up intersecting in order to move the country forward. So I think with leadership um, at the core of what we do at ABR firm, I'd love to have that dinner, have that moment just to hear, listen, watch, engage, question, challenge what those narratives look like in that time frame, and how consequentially while they may not have known how much it was going to impact human history, but to give them an indicator of the repercussions of what their decision making and storytelling, how it impacted all of us later on. I think that'd be a phenomenal opportunity. Yeah.
Like, I want to come to that dinner. You know, I'll take 10% of the check. I'll do the tip. I'll
I
take care of the
got you.
tip.
I got
So
you. I
that
got
would
you.
be a fantastic dinner, and I absolutely love that response. And it just speaks to just the caliber of what your workshop is going to be. So we look forward to joining in. Andrea already took my seat, so I'll have her recording in the back so I can make sure I get all of the notes. But Matthew Lee, thank you so much for this conversation. It has
Absolutely.
been a tremendous insight to what to expect and why folks should join. So if someone wanted to follow you or stay in contact with you leading up to the Storytelling Summit and maybe after, how can someone stay connected?
So you can go to our website, abrfirmmemphis.com. That's abrfirmmemphis.com. And there you'll find out all the information with regard to our um, leadership development firm. We do brand management, team building. They call me the capacity coach. And so
Yes.
I give insights with regard to helping teams, helping organizations, helping people, personalized coaching, executive coaching. We do all of that. And we help people realize their capacity. Part of the dynamic is a lot of people think potential, but they don't necessarily think capacity. Capacity is currently what's in your hand in order to reach potential. And so we love helping teams, helping people do so. I really appreciate the just the hospitality and warmth that you all have extended to me and the ABR team. I'm so looking forward to it. We are going to have an excellent time, and I'm going to learn so much that I'll be a better person behind this experience at the summit.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, you heard it here first from the good Dr. Matthew Lee with the ABR firm. So if you would like to attend his session, be sure to register. We still have, at the time of this recording, about 25 to 30 seats remaining. So be sure to visit www.tnnonprofits.org. That's TN nonprofits with an S.org to register your team today. You don't want to miss this opportunity. So any closing words, Andrea or Matthew?
I'll just say I'm excited about it. I know our storytelling conference is going to be amazing. Dr. Lee, you're going to be great. And all the great topics and the speakers that we have and the beautiful location that we have in Knoxville is going to be amazing. So look forward to seeing you all here and definitely listening and sitting in on a number of different workshops throughout the day.
Thank you both so much. Looking forward to it.
All right, you all take care. We'll see you on the next episode.